what happens. When you come into this world, you're born, and then this is your timeline. Okay. This is your timeline. And this is right here, right now. So this, for some people, this could be 60 years. For some people, it could be 20 years. Well, however old you are, that's how long this is. Okay, that's what this represents. And highly spiritual beings, which you all are, or you would not have signed up for this program. I promise you that. You are a highly spiritual being, a highly conscious being, probably with a conscious level well over 600 or probably well over 700 or even 800. That's what you were born with. But what happens is people like that like a challenge, and they like to grow, and they like to learn lessons, and they like to have experiences. So what you do is you make an agreement with yourself, between you and your high self. And what you do, I'm going to use just a round number. Let's say this is 40 years. Okay. Just for grins. Like I said, it could be 60, it could be 70, it could be 8, however old you are. But you made an agreement with your high self that for part of your life, first third, first quarter, first half, first 2/3, first 3/4, you're going to live a life of limitation. A life of limitation. And so when you have an event in your life, you agreed to park your spiritual power off to the side and experience whatever that is as a human. So for example, birth. When you first came in here, this is in the protocol, I refer to them as golden spheres. Unfortunately, I do not have a golden marker. I have had orange. So make believe that this is gold. That golden sphere represents the energy of the creator, which you are a part of. And so you made the agreement to park your spiritual power at the event, not use it, not have access to it, kind of going in with both hands tied behind your back and having whatever the experience was as a human with human values, human emotions, human psychological reactions, all the things that kind of make being a human a little bit difficult. Unrational thinking or non-rational thinking. So you park your spiritual power and you have the event. In this case, it was birth. And that's why one of the first things we clear in round 1 is birth trauma. The trauma of birth is very traumatic, and it sticks with most of us most of our lives because it's tough. It is very tough to be born, to cram these huge infinite souls into this finite physical body, whatever size that is for you, and into this energy field that we build and encompass this physical body in. So you parked your spiritual power. Now, as you move down your timeline of these first 40 years, you go to school and you got bullied, or you got treated poorly, or people criticized you, your teacher criticized you. Hey, what's wrong with you? You dumb? Are you retarded or something? That registers as a brain damage at some level, energetically brain damage when somebody tells you that at a young age, because you don't know enough. You don't have the spiritual perspective to go, no, I'm just bored. You just bore me. But again, you parked your spiritual power. So you go to school, you have these experiences, you get bullied, you get bad grades, or you get good grades, or you work yourself to death in order to make your parents happy or the people around you happy. And you don't know why, but you just keep doing whatever they tell you to do. The next thing that happens, you go through death of a loved one. you lose a grandparent or all your grandparents, or you may lose a parent, or you may lose a brother or a sister or something like that. And again, you parked your spiritual power. So you didn't have access to your spiritual power, so you couldn't work through this. So you get trapped emotions of shock, panic, and trauma, grief, all the things here. You don't look at it through spiritual eyes and the blessing of them being in your life for a short period of time or whatever time you had them, and the unconditional love that they gave you during that period of time. No, the human part of you just looks and goes, oh my God, I've lost this person. Poor, poor, pitiful me. Or you don't even understand that death is only a transition. You didn't really lose anything. You'll catch them next 2 or 3 times around, or maybe a few lifetimes down the road. Or when you go back to the other side, they'll be there for you. So you park your spiritual power. And then you go through, you grow up, you get married, and you have a tumultuous marriage, and you go through a divorce. And the divorce devastates you, wipes you out financially, wipes you out emotionally, colors your view of the opposite sex, or it just does all kinds of emotional turmoil to you and upsets you to no end. And it's like, then you walk around thinking you're broken, nobody wants you, who would ever want you, whatever it is you tell yourself. You parked your spiritual power. Looking at a divorce through spiritual eyes might be something more like, whoo, thank God, I'm done with that person. Now I know what I don't want in my next relationship. Okay, huge difference. Then let's say you go through a bankruptcy or some other financial downfall, or you lose your 401k in the stock market, or you make a bad financial decision, or you put all your money into a house and it turned out to be rat infested and they had to demolish it and you lost all your investments. I don't know, it could be any number of things, but you do it without your spiritual power. And so you look at it through the eyes of a human. And when we look at it through the eyes of a human, we tend to think, damn, I screwed up. We are our worst enemies when we are a human being. We are our own worst enemies when we are a human being. We have millions of ways of knocking the snot out of ourselves. Nobody else has got to do it. We can do it really well. And then maybe you develop a health issue. You develop a heart issue, or you get COVID, or you have cancer, heaven forbid. And then your life's on the line, and then you struggle and you run real fast trying to get your health back, and you start working out, start eating clean, start supplementing, all that kind of stuff, doing whatever you can do to stay in that body. But again, you are only looking at this through the eyes of a human. You parked your spiritual power. Okay. So here's today, wherever you are, however old you are. What we're going to do in this clearing is, if it's time for you, this will get triggered. I'm not going to override your high self. So if your high self is in agreement, it will allow this clearing to occur. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this call. You probably, chances are you are ready for this and it's time for this, or you wouldn't have gotten the call in the first place. But what we're going to do is we're going to clean up your future. This is your future. Notice anything different? Notice the black line has now turned into orange, which is spiritual power. So what we're going to do in this clearing, we're going to go back down everything over these 40 years, whatever they were, wherever we're going to find these golden spheres, wherever you park them. We're going to have the Creator dissolve them and dissolve other things around them, like judgment, shock, panic, trauma. Get rid of that. Cleanse up this and clean this energy up so it's as pure and as golden as it can possibly be. And then we're going to have it brought into here, and we're going to have it feed your future. We're going to have this energy that you parked now accessible as you move into the future with safety, confidence, protection, and power. And as you move into the future as a spiritual being, having a human experience, instead of a human who parked their spiritual power off to the side. Okay. Now, like I said, this is not your typical abundance block kind of clearing, but it sure as hell will clear abundance blocks, because you've been living life in probably one of lack and struggle and difficulty and lack of flow. Whereas when you retrieve this spiritual power and light up your timeline with it, now flow occurs, movement occurs. You find yourself able to speak things into existence and have them show up for you right on time. Okay.